Good day, ladies and gentlemen. On April 28, 2014, Ivanhoe Energy hosted its annual general meeting in Vancouver. This video follows the AGM and provides a business update from Carlos Cabrera, our Executive Chairman, in an effort to ensure all stakeholders receive consistent information at one time. In this video, Mr. Cabrera summarizes the company's 2013 year and provides a look ahead to the opportunities coming in 2014 and beyond. This update contains certain forward-looking information and statements, which are information and statements about future results or events based on management's estimates and beliefs. Such forward-looking information and statements are based on certain assumptions and involve known and unknown risks and uncertainties. As such, actual results or events may differ materially from such forward-looking information. Shareholders and potential investors should take caution in relying on such forward-looking information and should consider all of the related assumptions and risk factors. The material assumptions and risk factors are set forth in the company's 10-K, year-end press release, and corporate presentation, which are available on the company's website and on SEDAR and EDGAR. Please note that any dollar amounts are quoted in US dollars.
Good morning. I would like to start by thanking all of our stakeholders. We appreciate your patience as we address the challenges that have inhibited our progress to date. We are not content with our accomplishments, but the Board of Directors and I believe we have good opportunities before us. We see great potential for this company because of our proprietary and patented partial upgrading technology, heavy to light, or as it's known in the industry, HTL. HTL is what makes Ivanhoe Energy different from other companies in this industry, and it is a technology that will play a significant role in the future of heavy oil development. Commercializing HTL is our priority. We also have two valuable geological assets in Canada and Ecuador, and we intend to realize the most value possible from these assets. In this update, I will discuss our geological assets first, then our HTL commercialization efforts, and I will finish with a financial position and look forward for the company. As many of you are aware, we are waiting on government approval of a proposed joint venture agreement with an international oil company. This oil company is well-versed and accustomed to the risk profile in Ecuador. This partnership is critical for Ivanhoe Energy on several fronts. First, it will generate immediate cash for the company. Second, the proposed partner brings a depth of expertise and financial resources, arguably unrivaled by the peers in this space. This will greatly benefit and assist in the development of Block 20. Lastly, it will demonstrate that this management team can attract and close significant partnerships. Block 20 in Ecuador has an estimated 6 billion barrels of original oil in place, according to Gaffney and Klein, with significant recovery potential. A partnership strategy was pursued since the capital required to develop this resource is substantial, and a company of the size of Ivanhoe Energy clearly cannot develop a multi-billion-dollar project on its own. Ivanhoe's view is that HTL can support the development of Block 20. Despite all the speculation in the Ecuadorian media, unfortunately, we cannot specifically disclose at this time who the partner is until the government gives us approval to do so. I understand it is very frustrating to wait for so long for this partnership to be approved and publicly announced. I too have wanted to progress much faster. However, there are a number of reasons why it has taken longer. We must change the specific services contract we signed in 2008 to a consortium contract between the government, the partner, and Ivanhoe Energy. Additionally, we must demonstrate how together this consortium will make significant progress in the development of Block 20. As you can imagine, working with multiple teams of individuals requires time and patience. We have a strong team on the ground in Quito. Each day, they are working to move this process along. I have had many conversations with our partner and the government throughout 2013 and have been personally involved in the numerous discussions since December. And I feel that we are making progress and should be able to get this done. A year ago, we had a very different vision of how and when we would be developing Tamarack. You may recall that in January of 2013, we received the completeness determination from one of the two regulators. Alberta Environment and Sustainable Resource Development. And by the end of July 2013, we had mitigated issues and established long-term relationship with the 5 of 7 of the organizations that filed statements of concern against our project application. We believe we were nearing the end of the regulatory process. However, in August of 2013, we pursued greater clarity on our application and remaining statements of concern from the new single regulator body, the Alberta Energy Regulator, or AER. And finally, in December 2013, we learned that the new regulator authority changed the application review process for shallow steam-assisted gravity drainage, or SAGD projects. Tamarack was the furthest along of several shallow SAGD projects in the regulatory process, and this change greatly impacted Tamarack. Despite being over 3 years in the regulatory process, we learned that the AER was going to take a significant amount of time to complete a thorough technical review of the factors that affect reservoir containment of shallow SAGD projects and develop a new long-term policy for SAGD projects. The AER plans to complete a multi-stakeholder inquiry and outline that any project submitted in advance of that process being completed would need to meet interim guidelines, which were published at the end of January 2014. Tamarack does not currently meet the interim guidelines, so our application has been deferred. We considered addressing the 3D seismic requirement, but we did not receive clarity from the regulator that this would allow our application to move forward any faster than it has to date. At this point in time, we have no idea when the review will be complete and when the long-term policy will be put in place. This lack of clarity on a timeline is what caused us to suspend our activities on the application. We felt this decision was prudent and in the best interest of the shareholders, particularly given our current capital constraints. We believe that our current Tamarack application adheres to the best practices for safe reservoir development and is economically viable. We are also committed to working with other resource owners and participating in the AER's multi-stakeholder process. However, given the delays and now deferred schedule, we have to look at other options as well. The AER has indicated that they are willing to work with us and do what they can to help us advance the development of the resource within their current guidelines. As a result, our team is considering a few avenues to extract value from the Tamarack lease. One such avenue involves the possibility of using alternative and new technologies. These technologies may require a new application. However, working with the AER could enable a more accelerated production schedule at a similar scale. In summary, our management team believes that Tamarack is a valuable asset with substantial resource recovery potential. We are leveraging our expertise and contacts to extract the maximum value possible for this asset. As mentioned at the outset, HTL is a key value driver for this company. It is a proprietary and patented process that significantly increases the economic viability of heavy oil by partially upgrading it and creating a highly valued synthetic crude oil. For those who have followed the story for some time, you will know that HTL substantially reduces the viscosity and produces a stable synthetic crude oil that requires no diluent for transport. Additionally, the process generates valuable byproducts such as energy with no need for disposal of coke. HTL has low operating expenses because it does not require a catalyst, hydrogen, or natural gas. Because many heavy oil deposits are in remote locations where access to diluent, pipelines, and energy is limited, HTL is the only technology available today that can be deployed cost-effectively in these locations. In other words, HTL addresses each of the major challenges facing the heavy oil industry. I have spent my entire career in the energy industry, and I believe that change is coming to the existing methodologies associated with the production and transportation of very heavy oils. It has to change, and HTL is a leading-edge technology that will be an important part of this change. The impetus is more efficient deployment of capital and lower environmental impact. Conventional approaches are limited by the technology in use today, which leads to an inefficient distribution of capital between the upstream and downstream sections of the energy industry. Risk aversion and the limitations of old processing technology leave the industry only with the old paradigm, the traditional approaches. However, after more than 40 years in this business, I believe that new technology will shift and challenge the old paradigm and status quo. New technology will enable the installation of more processing facilities in the upstream sector of the oil industry, which will create much greater efficiencies in oil production, transportation, and conversion. For example, it seems very wasteful to ship carbon around the world and recycle diluent regionally such that producers can bring very heavy oil to market. Carbon rejection and recovery of energy at the production site will constitute a more cost-effective and rational solution. And this means there is great potential for HTL. Many people ask me, if HTL can really solve all these challenges, why is it not yet operating commercially somewhere? This is a great question. Accepting technological innovation has historically been slow, no matter the industry, and having spent the majority of my career developing and commercializing technology in the oil industry, the simple answer is that this industry is generally very risk averse. Only companies that are nimble and entrepreneurial will consider being the first movers on a new technology. Additionally, the nimble company that would consider HTL first will do so because they have a significant problem that HTL will overcome. And we are working closely with a few companies like this in Mexico, Colombia, and North America. We are ready to deploy HTL at a commercial scale. In the last year, we have spent and completed a great deal of work that is supporting our business development efforts. And our plan is to use these accomplishments to establish our first HTL partnership in the year 2014. Let me summarize our accomplishments to date. An industry-leading and recognized international energy and consulting firm validated that HTL, synthetic crude oil, or SCO, should be valued on a scale closer to par with Brent. Leading consultants to the energy and chemical industries, the Klein Group completed an evaluation which compares HTL to more than 10 other upgrading technologies under development today. In this comparison, the Klein Group concluded that HTL is the leading partial upgrading technology due to the 5 significant advantages, including its advanced stage of development, low CapEx and OpEx, and high yields of high-quality synthetic crude oil. Ivanhoe successfully upgraded heavy oil from Ecopetrol, the Colombian oil company, which had an API of 7.2 degrees, demonstrating the flexibility and robustness of the process to convert very heavy crude feedstocks into high-value, marketable, and pipeline-ready synthetic crude oil. This adds to a growing list of crudes that Ivanhoe had tested, including Athabasca, Ecuador Block 20, and crudes from other regions of Central America and the Middle East. Ivanhoe conducted several tests at the feedstock test facility in San Antonio, Texas, that demonstrated the stability of the synthetic crude oil product for pipelining and refining. Refinery hydrotreater pilot plant studies demonstrated that HTL synthetic crude oil produces specification-grade products such as naphtha, diesel, and jet. Ivanhoe and SBM Offshore formed a global strategic alliance combining their respective expertise to create floating, production, upgrading, storage, and offloading vessels. The two parties are working together to market the process globally. And Ivanhoe, of course, continues to strengthen its proprietary technology and intellectual property portfolio. We filed several new patent applications in 2013. Our extensive activity over the past year demonstrates the company's focus to commercialize our HTL technology. Unfortunately, given the delays in all our projects, we find ourselves in a challenging situation. Our present cash reserves will allow us to operate until mid-third quarter based on our current activities. We are optimistic that the Ecuadorian partnership will come to fruition, which will provide a significant cash infusion and substantially mitigate Ivanhoe's working interest share of capital expenditures on Block 20 for the near term. And we are making good progress on commercializing HTL, although more time is required to establish a partnership. To give us more flexibility, we need to create a leaner organization that is sized and structured appropriately for our assets. We have begun to make changes to materially reduce our G&A spending and preserve our cash. That includes reducing our workforce by approximately 20 people to start and working to ultimately reduce our corporate spending by approximately $10 million per year with further cuts if necessary. We are focused on turning our Ivanhoe Energy story around for the benefit of all stakeholders. Change is required. To build a successful company, we need to consider our overall structure and the appropriate type and amount of financing to maximize value creation for all our stakeholders. The management team and the board of directors are prepared to undertake such challenge to execute the business plan. We have 3 very different assets, 2 geologic in nature, and 1 that is a technology. Each of these assets requires very different strategies, expertise, and financing. Our ultimate goal is to structure each entity in a way that enables each to be successful and create value. We are currently working on multiple scenarios to make this possible. Once we are in a position to articulate these thoughts, we will further communicate with you. In summary, Ivanhoe Energy is working hard to address our challenges, properly capitalize the business, and achieve success in commercializing HTL. Thank you for listening to this message. Hopefully, I have given you greater confidence that we are working to create an Ivanhoe Energy that is better able to garner the maximum value from the assets we have and capitalize on the opportunities that come our way. We are aware that every step we take impacts you, and we believe that our actions in 2014 will be in the best interest of our shareholders for months and years to come. The management team and the board of directors are committed to delivering and communicating as we make progress. Thank you very much for your attention.